Hello, I hope you're doing well today. In this tutorial video, I'm going to teach you how to create a paint canvas or a canvas that you can paint on using Tkinter. We will be writing the code in Python and I will be using Visual Studio Code Editor. You can download Visual Studio Code on the internet. All you have to do is type in Visual Studio Code, free download, and it will give you the option to either choose the Windows download, or the download that you would use for a Mac computer. So first thing we will do, we will create our folder. We will name this paint.app. We will go into our Visual Studio Code editor and we will select the folder that we created as our directory. You're going to go to Open Folder, go to Desktop. You're going to select the folder we just created, paint.app. Select that folder. Next, we're going to we're not going to create a virtual environment for this program. We will just get right into the code. So we're going to name the file. We will name the file paint app.py and enter. And now we're going to import Tkinter. For those who do not know, Tkinter is our library that allows us to create the graphical user interface. And then from Tkinter, we're going to import color chooser, which will allow us to choose the colors for our paint canvas. Now we're going to create a class, and we're going to name that class paint app. TK. And we're going to define the class. Oops. We're going to say define, initiate, or init. We're going to say self. For those who do not know what a class is, pretty much a class. Best way I can describe it is this: say you have a car. Your car, and with that car, you have different colors, different attributes, different brands, different features. So pretty much a class holds an object, but it holds the attributes of that object. And that's what we're setting up right now. But instead of using a car, we're using with our paint application. So we're going to say super. And the init function is pretty much, it stands for initialize. So we're initializing the class. And we're going to name this, we're going to call it this paint app. And now we will say self.geometry. And whenever you're creating a class, you always have to start with the self before you move on to anything else. So whether it's name, it'll be self.name, self.title, things of that nature. The self.geometry is we're going to set the size of our window for this application. So we're going to say we'll go with 800 by 600. Why not? Now that we have that set up, we now are going to create our canvas that we're going to draw on. So we will leave a hashtag. Hashtags are for creating notes or creating comments, excuse me. So we'll say create our drawing canvas. And now, like I said before, when it comes to classes, you're always going to start with the self most of the time. Not most of the time, all the time. Self.canvas equals TK. And we're going to say dot canvas or period canvas. We're going to say self BG, which stands for background color or background. And we're going to set the background color, which we will say is white. We will say width equals 800, height equals 500. And with anything with Tkinter, right now, excuse me, so we write out what our program wants to do, and now that we wrote that out, we now have to give the command to display it, and that's what the pack function is going to do. So we're going to say self canvas period pack. We're going to say fill equals tk, and we're going to say both, and that's going to be all caps. And then we're going to say expand equals true. And while you're building this program, it's always good to frequently save because you know computers shut down, things happen. You don't want to write out all this code and then lose it all because your computer shuts down. You might have not charged your computer or your laptop all the way, so it's just good practice. Now that we have that set up, we're going to set up our initial drawing parameters. So we'll create a comment that says this will set up drawing parameters. We're going to say self.current color equals black. We're going to say self.current brush size. We're going to set that to 2. And self.is underscore drawing equals false. So what this is right here, this is the initial setup for your drawing parameters. So when you enter into the program, when you enter into the graphical user interface, when you get into the painting application, this is what it's going to be on initially. You can change this, but this is the initial setup. Now that we have that set up, we need to create the, we're going to bind we're going to bind our canvas events, and we're going to set it up now with the mouse, where when you use the B1 motion, which is going onto the white canvas, holding down the left mouse button, that's going to allow you to draw onto the white canvas now. So that's what that purpose is for this. So you're going to say self.canvas. We're going to say bind, and we're going to say B1 dash motion, and we're going to say self dot on underscore paint. Whoops. Okay. Now we're going to go on. We're going to say self dot canvas bind, and now we're going to say button 1. We're going to say self dot on click. So like I said before, we are setting up what's going to cause the event that's going to activate um, us drawing onto the paint canvas, and that's going to be hovering over the white canvas, clicking on the left mouse button, and then that will allow us, when you move the mouse button while you're moving the mouse holding down the left button, it will start drawing onto the canvas. Let's see. Okay, what is going on here? Oh, don't need that right there. Okay. Now that we have that set up, we're going to now set up the what happens when we release the button. So once we release the button, it will no longer allow us to draw onto the canvas. So we're going to say button, release, -1. We're going to say comma self on release. So once again, we're giving the command that once we release the once we release the button, it will no longer be painting onto the white canvas. So we got this. Let me just double check everything to make sure everything's good. Button 1. That's the problem. Okay. Make sure, I'm sorry about that. Make sure the quotation marks are on the outside, not the inside. That is why I'm getting that red warning or that red error flag. And there you go. Let's see. Make sure that's on the outside too. Okay. And then we will just say, leave a comment. It's always good to comment on your programs. Just say this, or this finds canvas events for the mouse. Get file, save. Now we will now create the function that defines our toolbar. So we're going to say define, create toolbar, say self. We're going to say, in our comments, we'll say brush, say setup, brush, color button. Now we're going to say color button equals TK, which stands for Tkinter, button self, comma text, and then we're going to say equals brush color. And now that we have the text set up, now we're going to give the command, which is choose color. So we're going to say self choose underscore color. Then we're going to, like I said before, we instruct what we want the program to display. Now that we've given the layout for that, now we actually have to draw it or display it. And we do that once again by saying, by using the pack function. So we're going to say color button pack. And then we're going to say side equals TK left. So we want this to be on the left side of our screen, and make sure the left is all caps. Left, add X, which is padding, equals 5, and then we'll say pad Y equals 5. Make sure you save, by the way. We're going to say file save, and now we're going to set the brush size scale. So we'll set a comment that says this sets up brush size scale. We're going to say size underscore label. We're going to say equals tk label self. And we're going to say text equals brush size. Then we're going to say, so once again, we created the label for our brush size scale, which allows us to see the scale of our, the size of our brush. Once again, now that we've given the computer the command or the program to, we've given the layout for this, we now have to pack it to display it on the screen. So we're going to say size underscore label. We're going to say, oops, not equal. We're going to say pack. And then we want this on the left side of the screen. So we're going to say side equals tk. And we're going to say, excuse me, we're going to say left in all caps. And then once again, we're going to go with the pad x equals 5, pad y equals 5. Now that we've have that set up, now we need to create the scale. So we're going to say self dot size scale equals tk scale. We're going to say self. Sorry for the notifications. I'm going to say self. I'm going to say from. Make sure you put that underscore right in front of that M on from. That's very important. And we're going to say equals 1. And then we're going to say 2 equals 20. So this is setting up the, you'll see it on the application, the bar or the lever that you're able to move and manipulate. And we're setting up that scale, the sizing for that right now, which is going to manipulate the size of the brush size. So that's what we're setting up right now. And then we want the orientation for that to be horizontal. So we're going to be pulling it from left to right instead of vertical. You can have it vertical. It's pretty much dependent on your preference. It doesn't really matter. Equals 1. Oh, make sure you put that comma after the 1. If you're getting red flags right here, it's more than likely from not putting commas. It's very important to put commas that separate these different actions of code. Okay, once again, now that we created that scale, we need to set that scale, and then we're going to pack it. So we're going to say self, make sure you're not in caps anymore. We're going to say self dot size scale. Make sure you use underscore, not dash. Scale set. We're going to say self current brush size. And now that we have that set up, we are now going to pack that. We're going to say self size scale pack. We're going to say side. We want this on the left side. We want this to display on the left side. Make sure you type left in all caps. And then we're going to have a padding of x equals 5, and then pad y equals 5. Pretty much like once you get the fundamentals of Tkinter down, you start grasping the concept. It's always pretty much giving the command of, lay this out, then display it on the screen. Lay this out, display it on the screen. So you once you start, repetition is the greatest teacher. The more you display, or the more that you build these projects, working on these projects, the more the concept will get um, stuck in your brain or in your mind. Now we're going to set up the clear canvas button. And this button will clear our canvas once we're done painting. So we're going to say clear button equals TK. Make sure you use capital B for button next to the TK. And then we're going to start with the self, text, and we're going to say display the clear canvas. So this is saying on the button, it will say clear canvas. And then we will give the command that will clear the canvas. So if you click that button, it will erase everything on the canvas or everything you drew on the canvas. Might as well go up there, hit that file, save. And now we will, once again, pack. So it displays our button, pack. And we want this to display on the left side equals capital LEFT for left. Let's see. Or actually, no. You know what? Let's not do that. Because we have our paint canvas on the left, let's have this display on the right. We don't want it to be overlapping. So, and also we have to put TK. And we'll give it the pad X equals 5, and then we'll say pad Y equals 5. And now we will define our choose color function. This is the function that allows us to choose what color we want. So we're going to say define choose color. Once again, we're going to say self colon, then we're going to say self is drawing equal to true. And then now, oh, actually, no. Why did I do that? That doesn't make sense. We're going to, I'm getting ahead of myself. We're going to, we got to set our color variable. And we're going to say color chooser as color. And then we're going to do initial color equals self current color. Make sure it's underscore, not dash. Color. And it says if color, creating our conditional statement, if color 1, self dot current color equals color 1. So what we're setting up right now, I want to make sure you have proper indentation. Let's see, why is that not going away? Let's take a look. Let's see what we're doing wrong. Define choose color, color equals color chooser, period as color, initial color equals self dot current color if color 1. Oh, always make sure you put that colon. That's that colon is very important. Pretty much it ends this line of code and it goes into this section, which these two are linked together. So what we're setting up right now is our initial color. So what our initial color is going to be black, as we set up here. Once again, you'll be able to change that. That's not a problem. But this is just the initial color once we are in the program when we first start. Now that we have that set up, we are going to define on click function. We're going to say self event. I'm going to say self is drawing equals to true. So what we're saying is, and when you or me, whenever you're in this program and you click with the left button on the mouse and move it, that event took place and it's true, so therefore it's going to allow you to start painting. Now that we have that set up, we're going to define our onPaint function. So we're going to say define on underscore paint self event event, and we're going to say if self, our conditional statement, is drawing. Make sure you put a colon at the end. Now we're going to set up our coordinates, or excuse me, how we're drawing either on the x or y axis. So we're going to start with x1, y1. And we're going to say equals, and then we're going to say event x minus self current underscore brush size. We're going to say event y minus self current brush size. We will now go on to the x2 and y2. We're going to say x2, y2, and we're going to say event x plus self current brush underscore size, and we're going to say event period y plus self current brush underscore size. You may ask, or you may be asking, why didn't I just copy and paste and change this? The reason why I, I'm doing it for this video to show you guys. If you don't understand the concepts of Tkinter, I don't. I wouldn't recommend for you to copy and paste. You know what I'm saying? Because you're not really going to understand it that way. So it's better for you to write it out until you get the concepts down. Then once you start understanding the concepts, you can then copy, paste, and then manipulate it how you need it to be manipulated. And then we're going to say self.canvas create. So this is creating our canvas board that we can draw on, the X and Y axis. We're going to say create underscore evolve. And then we're going to say x1, comma, y1, comma, x2, comma, y2. And then we're going to say fill equals self current color outline equals, and then double quotation marks. And we are almost done. Now we need to define, go up there, you might as well go up there and hit that file save, just good practice to have. Now we're going to say define, we're going to define our onRelease function. Self event, and we're going to say self is drawing equals false. So pretty much When we release the button and self is drawing is no longer true because we're not clicking on the left button and moving the mouse anymore, then the release event has taken place and we will no longer be drawing. It will no longer be displaying a color that you're drawing on the canvas. So that's what that function is for. And now we need to define our clear canvas function. Define clear underscore canvas self. Then we're going to say self canvas delete. And then we're going to say all in quotation marks. So once again, if the self, or excuse me, if the clear canvas button is clicked, then this event took place, this function is taking place, and therefore it's going to delete everything on the canvas. And now we end this program by creating our main loop, which the main loop is what keeps the program functioning while it's open. So we're going to say if, then you're going to say name, then we're going to say equal to main, then we're going to say app equals paint app. Then we're going to say app main loop. And we're going to hit file and save. And now let's see if our program will run. Okay. It says line 4 and module self.canvas. Okay. Self is not defined. So let's go back to line 4 and line 11. So we have our class. Let's just double check and make sure we did everything right. TK, okay, that's right. Define in itself, super, okay. Says self.canvas equals TK canvas self, background equal white. If you have that W capitalized, make sure you lowercase it. That could be what the problem is because once again, Python is case sensitive. Then we're going to say self.canvas.pack. Okay. TK both. All right, let's try this. Hit file, save. Self is not defined. I'm going to pause this video. Once I find out what the issue is, I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. So what I realized what the issue was, my indentation wasn't right with the self. Like I had some like for example, I'll show you like how everything's lined up here. Like if you have say like you have self over here and then you have like self over here with the class, if it's not lined up in the same block of code as the class is set up, then it's outside of the code and therefore that's why it was saying uh self is not defined. So here, I'm going to go down slowly so you can see it for yourself to make sure you have everything lined up correctly. Okay, let's run our program, see if it works. And there we go. We have our initial color, which is black. Hit the clear, that works. Brush color. Whoops, you got to hit OK. Changes the color. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out. If I offered you any value, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel so you can see more of my content. Thank you.